So I'm talking about strip sale, right?
Yeah, I want to hear something about this.
Okay, so you ain't missed nothing. I got in a couple fights. That's where the story's at right now. I got in a couple fights. I'm in the hole, right? So there's a dude that they call Cali B. He's from an Oak Park Blood. I remember that from Sacramento, and he was. I think he was just pissed at the police because I don't know that there was a rhyme or reason to it, but he was kind of leading everybody down in the hole. Now you got to realize the dynamic of this prison. The dynamic of this prison is 80% juvenile, or not juvenile, but like under 25. It's almost all gangbangers. This is where they put you whenever you first get to prison in Colorado. If you want to fight and be stupid, you just go to Buny because everybody fights at Buny.
So is that where they automatically pretty much put like young offenders?
Young gang
Okay.
members, that's where you start. Not a very deadly prison, but you fight. You fight a lot.
Gladiator school.
Yeah, you just got to go head. As long as you're willing to go heads up and take your ass whipping, you're fine. Nobody will let nothing happen to you. The upper structure, nobody will let nothing happen to you.
Right.
You know? So I get there. I get in two fights like immediately. I'm in the hole. Cali B decides that the cops are taking too long with the white boys. The white boy cowboy, his TV. He had been placed on AdSeg. And after like a month on AdSeg, you were supposed to get your TV, and he had a TV at his property, and they weren't giving it to him, right? So they gave the cops an ultimatum, said, "Man, you guys been BSing on this TV," and the cops didn't. The cops just ignored them. We're like, "Yeah, who cares? Whatever you're talking about." So they decide, well, we're flooding the tier, and there was a dude named Dahmer, a white boy named Dahmer, next to me, uh, cool as shit, who was right next to me. He had 5150 on his spine, all big. I remember that. And his name was Dahmer, so you couldn't forget him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He hit somebody doing like 120 on a motorcycle. There was a woman hired and shit running across the highway. And this fool just happens to be at the same time hired and shit on a motorcycle and hits her doing like 120, dog. And they gave this fool 28 years for it.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a cool dude, man. Dahmer. I don't even remember his first name. I just remember his last name. He had 5150 on his back. But he was my next door neighbor in the hole. Now, this prison is tiers and just bars, so you could hear people fart. You could hear the people next door to you talking. So you know what I mean. Even in the whole prison's like this. No, like 80% of the prison's like this. I think South Unit has solid doors. I never actually been in South Unit, but so anyway, I'm in the hole down there. They decide to flood. I'm like 20 years old. I'm down for whatever. I mean, we whatever. Okay, they said we're flooding. The fool Dahmer was my homie. He was flooding, so I'm flooding too. We're flooding. We're lighting stuff on fire. We're throwing it off the tier. So what the cops do is that night the cops turn on the air conditioner. Now it's in February. This is like February of 2003. I'm thinking, and we're like 9,000 feet in the air. We're about 9,000 feet in the air. It's in the Rocky Mountains. It's in the middle of the Rocky Mountains, probably one of the highest cities in the divide.
Right.
You know what I mean? Probably one of the highest cities up there. There's a city next to it actually called Salida. I don't even think Buny would be considered a city. Buny's like a couple stoplights, a restaurant, something like that.
Gotcha.
So so anyway, I don't know what they did with Cali B and them. I have no idea. But that night they turn all the AC on and they open up all of the windows. And they just leave us in there, and there's like 3 inches of water on the ground. So they turn the AC on, open up all the windows, and leave us in there all night. The next morning, they come and get who they believe is the ringleaders or whatever. I don't know. I think they got me because I was lighting stuff on fire. I had some tobacco and some weed, and whenever everything's flooded, the cops ain't gonna come through. So we're smoking through the bars. You know what I mean? Just passing through the bars. Cops ain't nowhere. You ain't coming. You know what I mean? So they were pissed at me for that because I wasn't a ringleader. I was a follower, but I think they were tripping on me for that. So they put us next door. There was a Sereno dude named Oso next to me, and then it was me, And then it was a cat named Indio Gluick from Bessemer Park, local Sureño. He was a Sureño too. I don't remember what hood Oso's from. I've known Oso forever. I should know what hood he's from. But Indio was from BPLS. And then it was me. And then there was another dude from Westside Chico in Pueblo, which is another Sureño hood, next to me, named Buzzard. Rest in peace. And then there was a white boy who stole something, stole motorcycles or something like that. But anyway, they take us all in there. They strip everybody down. You get your boxers. For the first 24 hours, you get your boxers. They take everything out of the cell. They turn the water off and they feed you what is called management loaf. Management loaf is where they just take a bunch of trash and put it in a blender and blend it up
Mm.
and just pour it like a meatloaf and cook it up in the oven, right? So it's nasty. You don't
Yeah.
want to eat it. You're not going to eat it. They're giving you like rotten oranges, stuff like that. Like finger food, you'll get a couple like you'll get some celeries, you'll get something like that, some celery, some carrots, but basically subsistence living. They come by and turn on the water every once in a while, let you actually flush your toilet, because you were flooding before, so now you lost your water privileges, right?
Yeah.
So after 24 hours, if you're good, they give you a blanket, right? But you don't get anything the first night. So the first night we're in there, they come in and they do it again. They open all the windows. Now all the water's been cleaned up, right? There's no mess anymore. And they moved us to the other side of the hole, the dungeon side of the hole. This side has cameras that look directly in to your cell, right? This is the bad part. Oh, and that's what I forgot to tell you. This prison is a child's reformatory. It was built in the 1870s, right? This is one of the oldest prisons, like west of the Mississippi. It's like
Yeah.
top five.
It would have to be built back then.
Mm-hmm. It at least goes back to 1870. There's a gang of clan activity that goes on. Only place I ever seen an actual clan card.
Yeah.
The CO showed me. He goes, "Hey, homie, you ever seen one of these?" And he showed it to me, and it's got they got holograms, homie. It's like an ID.
Oh, I know a couple Klansmen.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They get
Yeah.
like holograms and all kinds. It looks
Yeah.
like a normal ID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, nah. I was like, nah, I ain't never seen one of them before. It's the only place I ever seen one of them. So they got us in the strip cell, right? The very first night, they open up the thing, they turn the AC on, and they're leaving us in there, and we're freezing bad. And somebody says they had turned on the water for us. He says if you run the hot water, it'll run through the sink into the toilet. And then if you take, because your feet were getting real cold, like our feet were turning blue. So they take what's called. So the homie says, well, take your blanket and kind of put your feet in the toilet and kind of put it over the top, right? And put your blanket kind of over the whole thing and run the hot water. If you sit there and run the hot water, he's like, it'll warm your feet up. And he was right. It was working. We're sitting there all night and we all got the hot water because everybody's pumping the hot water. The pipe gets hot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So we were kind of all helping each other out all night because you can't sleep. So we're sitting there all night, and Indio starts telling like old like Native American stories. Uh, I don't remember much about them. I remember one about a white buffalo that somebody wasn't supposed to look at or something like that. Like they were all dancing around the fire and they told him don't look at the white buffalo, and dude did anyway, and it's turned out bad for him. There was a moral behind it. I don't remember it. I remember his voice echoing though. I remember the acoustics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I bet it was really echoey there, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's so quiet, you know.
Yeah.
So the dude also, the Sureño also had taken his boxers and wrapped them around his feet, right, to go to bed, right? He had the blanket around him, but he had his boxers around his feet. Well, early in the morning, the woman comes by to give him breakfast. This fool's right next to me. She pushes the cart through for breakfast. And that fool, or he jumps out of bed to get his breakfast with his weenie swinging, and she starts screaming, "Put your damn clothes on!" Da, 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 da. So right away, we're already in trouble. And now we're,
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
first night, dog. Less than 24 hours. This was showing his weenie to the cop, right? So, so the white buffalo is Pandora's box. You know, I'm going to tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of the story in the Bible whenever he said, "Don't turn around. If you turn around and look, I'm going to turn your wife into salt or something
Yeah.
like that, into a pillar of salt." I don't know who
Yeah.
was it, Lot's wife.
Yeah. Lot's wife.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it reminded me of. So so that's the very that's the very first night, right? Or the very first morning. So this fool jumps out weenie swinging, and then that day we're basically just keeping each other company. After 24 hours, they brought us like some bedding or so. Oh, they brought us a mattress, right? So now you got you a little mattress and a blanket and your boxers. And that's after 24 hours. So then the rest of that is kind of uneventful, but the next day early in the morning. This is what they do to dissuade people from shaving in prison. I don't know what my dog is eating. What are you chewing on? Oh, it's his bunk. Okay. So to dissuade you from shaving in prison, they make it very inconvenient. Is what they do. They'll make you wake up at like 5 a.m. You got to wake up at 5 a.m. and then you got to be done shaving by the time we get back with breakfast. But then these times fluctuate because you never know whenever we're going to serve breakfast because the breakfast is on a rotation and this serve gets and who keeps track of all that? Nobody's keeping
Right.
track of all that. So basically, you'll have to wake up at like 4:30 and stay up till 8. You know what I mean? If you want to shave or something dumb,
Yeah.
who wants to do that in the hole, right?
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
want to do that. So at like 5 in the morning, I guess, dude gets a razor. Well, the woman comes back around 7 o'clock. She hits also cell. This is the second day. She hits also cell. She comes to my cell, gives me my food. She comes and I still remember how she smelled. She always smelled real good. Big blonde girl. She goes to Indio cell, and then as soon as she hits Buzzard cell, you hear her scream. Ah! Buzzard had gotten a razor and killed himself. He had offed himself. Yeah. This is the second day into the strip cell,
Mm.
right? So this fool had often, but rest in peace, Buzzard. Somebody's gonna know who
Yeah.
I'm talking about from he's from West Side Chico because there's not a lot of West Side Sereno hoods out here. Only one or two. From West Side Chico in Pueblo, he had a Jay Leno spot. He was like 20 years old and had a Jay Leno spot. He was a little skinny dude. It's cool as shit, man. Fool offed himself whenever we were down there, dog. So that's our first like 48 hours into this week long process or 5 day process or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
I didn't see it going there already.
Yeah, this prison, dude. This prison, there's something wrong with it, dude. There was something wrong. There was something wrong with what they did to the kids in this prison.
Yeah, left that fucking bad energy behind. Excuse my language, man.
You
Anyway.
could feel it when you're there. You could feel it. Like people were just killing themselves in this place, and it was a child's reformatory in uh, in the 1870s. It's called Buena Vista, Colorado, and it was built in the 1870s. And it was used to house children, wayward children, children that were mentally disabled, special needs. Down syndrome children tend to be really strong.
Oh yeah.
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 And 100 years ago, their parents did not know what to do with them, so they would send them to Buny. You know,
Yeah.
I got you, Angelica. I got you. Uh, so this is the second day in. The homeboy kills himself, right? So the third day in, also goes left, just loses it, right? He's talking crazy to the cops, just letting him have it. His behavior is starting to deteriorate even more. His homie just killed himself. Buzzard.
Right. I was gonna say, I imagine that's gonna,
Yeah.
add to it. Fuck.
Then all these cops want to start coming down there. Now they want to do an investigation, right? So the whole next day is just an investigation. Now they want to investigate why this fool was down there for 2 hours, able to. We're supposed to be on high security monitoring. We're on strip cell, right? Right. So you're supposed to be monitoring people, right? These people are the worst of the worst. You're treating them as the worst people in this prison, the most high security people in this prison. How did this man have 2 hours to bleed out in the morning? right?
Yeah.
Then Buzzard's dad shows up to the prison. What up, AC? So this fool's dad shows up to the prison livid. Now we don't see him down there, but he makes such a stink in the prison that we end up hearing about it down in the hole. That's how much of it, you know what I mean? This dude's dad, Buzzard had less than a year and he killed himself in this shit 2 days into this shit, right?
Do you have some other shit going on behind this, or
No,
don't even know?
no, couldn't tell you. I wasn't involved in his politics. I had just got to prison, been in prison like 5 months and spent like
Right. Yeah, I got you.
from fighting. You know what I mean? Yeah. My first year, or my first like 13 months, 8 months was spent in the hole. It was just fight after fight after fight after fight after fight. Um, but so now we're like 3 days into it, and we just got these cops in and out. Now by this time, everybody's starving. Like you're absolutely starving. You're just living off water out of the sink basically because the loaf is disgusting. It's like disgusting and it's super dried out. They're bringing it down to us like that, super dried out, you know? And so now it's like 4 days into it. I don't remember much from the fourth day. I remember reading a book about Jewish mysteries. And then India was like, "You got any good books?" And then I was like, "Yeah, I got this one." And I sent it to him and he was all pissed. He read it and then threw it down on the table. He was like, "Get this out of here." I don't remember much else, you know what I mean? But they gave us the what you call, they gave us our stuff back. All our it gave us all of our stuff back on the fourth day. You got everything back, all your hygiene in the hole. And then as soon as I got out of the hole, I don't think Oso came out of the hole. He just kept spinning in there. He was like that. I knew him from juvenile and been like that, went through like 3 different prisons with him. And he didn't like authority,
Yeah,
you know?
one of those people, man. That some people just can't ever live with it.
Yeah. I actually we ended up fighting later on, like maybe 7 or 8 years down the line. That's the last fight I got in prison. What up, VPS? We're talking about strip cells, homie. Whenever,
Really?
whenever the cops take everything. Yeah, we actually ended up getting in a fight later on. Me and that dude on some completely other stuff. They were trying to punk this Northsider. They were trying to punk this. That's pretty much it for the strip cell. If anybody's got any comments, I don't have my glasses on because look at it, makes it glare all crazy, and then you can't really see nothing. You know what I mean? And I don't like it. I feel like I'm hiding myself. So forgive me if I can't read all that well. What's up, mate? Sean Whalen.
What's up, Sean?
But they hand out solitary confinement like it is going out of style.
Yeah, man. I just from what you told me, just the building you were in, man. That right there's enough for me, man. Fuck.
This dude jumped off the third tier on Thanksgiving Day, dog. This is what happens. He hit the ground and bounced about 2, 3 feet and then he began to roll back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And he had knocked the wind out of himself so bad that he couldn't get his breath and he passed out. You turn purple and pass out. You know how whenever you knock your wind out?
Yeah.
Well, imagine the worst you've ever had the wind knocked out.
Right.
That's what happens. But he just turned purple and then passed out.
Well, what else did it mess up on him?
He woke his memory. It obviously did something to his head because then I went in another fight. So this dude jumps off the tier, right? There was a black dude whose heart exploded on the basketball court. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if that has anything to do with the, you know what I mean, with the prison or not. But it was just, you could feel it in the prison that it was what they had done is just wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, man. There's places you can feel that negative shit come. You know what I mean? I've been in buildings before that I just didn't even like standing in. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely know what you're talking about.
you would.
But I couldn't imagine being down in a dungeon or one, in the belly of one of them motherfuckers like that. You know what I mean? Especially as cold as you said it was and shit.
Yeah, they did that on purpose.
Yeah, man.
I
Uh,
They did that on purpose. I understand why they did it because
yeah,
it's a mechanism that you have.
right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it, but I don't know. I don't know how much they're going to be able to keep getting away with stuff. I will tell you this though. I will tell you this. Um, the Democrats produced a bill or signed a bill today to beef up what's called to beef up policing across the country, and all the language that they're talking about. I know this stuff because I watched it happen because I was a political junkie whenever I was a little kid. I always been kind of a nerd. You know what I
Right.
mean? I always
Yeah,
like.
I got you. No, I somewhat, you know what I mean? I'm not like full blown into it, but I keep up with enough of it to, you know.
So I remember what Bill Clinton did. I remember the tough
Yeah.
on crime bills, the you know what I mean, the mandatory minimums and all this,
Yeah.
all the same language. They're talking about all the same type of stuff again because they're getting backlash because they defund the police. They were pushing this nonsense. So now they're trying to push the other way.
Oh yeah. It's just like what, man, it's always, it'll always be like, it'll always flow back and forth, ebb and flow, you know, like that. You know what I mean? Uh they're not gonna keep hollering defund the police that much longer. You know what I mean? And if they do, they have to do something to, like you said, some kind of backlash for that. You know what I mean? When sometimes it takes a few years for that to even come about or anybody even recognize it. That's the stuff with politics. Most people don't even recognize it when it's happening. They recognize it 4 or 5 years down the road after it's done
It
taking
takes
them.